Well, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Today was the day that we got to find out what the alternative jerseys, uniforms, helmets, all of that for the Washington Commanders was going to look like. And did it disappoint? Well, let's talk about it and hit the music. Well, folks, welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs YouTube channel. My name is Greg, and I hope you have had a great day today. Today is hump day. It is, right? It's hump day. Wow. This week is going by in some respects fast and some respects not fast enough. But anyway, regardless, hope you've had a great day. And so today, of course, was the big announcement. And the big announcement, of course, was what was the Washington Commanders alternate uniforms for this season going to look like? What were they going to look like? And we finally got a glimpse of what we're going to see in the coming season. Now we're going to see it mm, maybe about 3 times, but alas, we are going to see it. And so, of course, if you are not on Twitter, you could have, I guess, did a Google search, but as you can see, the Washington Commanders looking more like the Washington Redskins. We kept hearing about they wanted to go back to the time during this franchise when they were winning Super Bowls, basically the glory years of this team. And of course, you go back to the Joe Gibbs era number one. And during that era, what was prominent for this team as far as the look was basically your white jersey with the maroon, burgundy letters or numbers, I should say, with the gold outlining the numbers, the white and yellow stripes, white and gold stripes going down the crown of the helmet, um, and of course the burgundy uh, pants with the white and yellow stripes going down the sides. Of course, your socks with the red gold stripes as well. If you grew up in the '80s, that's just how socks were. I mean, they all had like racing stripes, as we called them. But this was the look that the Washington Redskins had when they were winning Super Bowls and when they were consistent elite status teams, or a team, I guess you would say, in the 1980s. Now, of course, as you can see, there's one thing that is missing, and people are going to point this out. Mm, we were kind of hoping that maybe they're going to do something with the logo, maybe have the spear because, the Commanders' social media kept talking about or kept showing us stuff about Jaden Daniels holding the spear, and immediately everyone's thinking there's going to be a spear. Maybe they're going back to the uniform that the Redskins donned right before the Lombardi era. So during that time when they had the spear and feather helmets, the burgundy was darker, the gold was darker. It was actually more of a gold color, and you can actually see this is not quite that. This is something different, but this is something that Big Doug on Twitter X had posted, and I'll get to why he posted this. But um, of course, we thought that maybe that there was going to be some sort of um, spear, maybe going through the what I call Walmart W, the stencil W, but nothing to do with the logo. So the logo stays, but we do get the white stripes back with the gold stripe going down the center and the gold face mask is back as well, which I think certainly a traditional look. That was probably one thing that, if you're going to have naysayers and all this that they didn't like, a lot of people don't like the W. I mean, yes, I was able to actually recreate this W from scratch in like 5 minutes. I'm not a graphic designer, so I'm not a fan of the W. I think they could do something, they could do better with that, but still, um, other than that, the whole look um, just reminds me of okay, this is my team. You know, this is the Washington football team that I grew up watching. This is more of what I'm seeing. Sans the Indian chief on the side. That's just one thing that is missing. It's a glaring, obvious thing that's missing from the whole Super Bowl era throwbacks. I understand that. I do think that an argument could be said that there's a door that's maybe opening, maybe ever a little bit slightly, but yet it's opening that we may see this logo back on the jerseys at some, or not the jerseys, the helmet. Who knows? Maybe the jerseys, but um, not yet. But what we do know is that Washington is going to don the alternates for 3 games. One of those games being against the Cowboys on Christmas Day. So, Merry Christmas to us. We actually get to see what we consider legacy um, uniform going up against our rivals. The last thing that someone pointed out was the lettering on the back of the jersey. And that was one thing that didn't dawn on me at first, but the lettering is more in line with how the lettering was back in the 1980s. I love it. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh yes," it's the attention to detail that they went so far as like lettering has got to be like this. It can't be the more of the bolder um, impact type of lettering that you saw uh, with with this team later on, especially I would say what was it? Probably around the time that Reebok had the contract to do the uniforms, and you saw the just more of a impact, bolder lettering, and then of course they brought on the name patch on the front. That's the other thing that makes this more true and in line with the 1980s Super Bowl uniforms. No words on the front. No words. The lettering that is the classic 1980s lettering on the back. And I think that's genius, because it shows that, you know what, they truly wanted to go back to the 1980s when this team has glory years. And that should be the throwback that we should all have, right? And so I'm very happy with that. Um, yeah, overall, I'm excited about this. Those jerseys are going to sell like hotcakes. Um, I went to the team store and I think they're going to be available sometime in September. So, once the season actually starts, they will put them up for sale. But yeah, I mean, I will buy a Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and that video is coming out. Um, I will buy those jerseys as soon as they come out. That is the jersey I'll buy. Now, you may ask, well, okay, Greg, so you got something against the existing uniforms? I'm like, I think I've been pretty vocal about not liking the black uniforms at all. It's not like I don't like the color black. I wear black a whole lot, but it's just that I don't like it when it comes to the Washington Commanders, the Redskins, football team, however you want to call them. I don't like those jerseys, those uniforms. Don't like the helmet at all because it has nothing to do, in my opinion, it's my opinion only, it has nothing to do with the legacy of the team. And while the shade of burgundy and the shade of gold may have changed over the years, for the most part, they have always kind of remained basically the same. There's always been burgundy and gold. They have always been the burgundy and gold. And black has nothing to do with it. And so I've never been a fan of them. And honestly, up until that Hail Mary game, the Hail Mary game against the Chicago Bears, we really didn't win too much in those uniforms anyway. And so I love this. And that was the other question that people were asking on social media was, well, now that we're going to see these throwbacks for 3 games, I think you can have up to 4 games during a season where you can wear like alternate uniforms. So does that mean that we're not seeing the black uniforms at all? I think we'll probably see the black uniforms once because, like I said, you do have 4 games. 3 of these games we know are going to be the throwback white jerseys, burgundy pants, the throwback helmet. So that leaves, if I'm correct in saying this, is going to leave 1 game open for another throwback or alternate uniform, which will likely be the black. And that might be likely the last time we see it, unless, and here's the other thing that, you know, we've heard it from a lot of beat reporters, guys like um, John Kim, um, and some of the others like that. Who are talking about that this is kind of the what they call the trial run to see how fans respond to these uniforms. If you judge it by just today, I would say at least an overwhelming 80% of the fans loved this. And the ones who didn't like it because you didn't have you still had the W and not the chief on the helmet. But there was not many who actually hated the throwbacks and, the ones who just love anything that's brand new, they don't wanna have anything to do with the past. Um, Mostly those are gonna be the ones who are, they just were not around during the glory years, so they don't understand the connection, to all of this. But again, I love it. It just immediately you look at it's like the Redskins are back. And slowly, and I will say this too. I think that the ownership, this ownership gets it. I think there are certain reasons why, of course, that uh, they can't um, go all the way back. And I totally get it. Whether if I agree with it or not, there's a reason why they are not able to go completely back to putting a spear or the Native American chief on the side. But this is pretty close. I mean, if you got to get as close as you possibly can with the legacy style, the style that we had during the Super Bowls, this is about as close as you're going to get. And of course, this is another very good look at what's going to look like. Very clean. Everybody was talking about how clean this look was. This looks like the Redskins, right? Just pretend the chief is on the side. This is the Washington Redskins, and this is the Washington Redskins that won Super Bowls in the 80s and early 90s. Now, I did want to touch a little bit on this that Big Doug had posted. Now, if we'll go back to this little video. And I don't know, this goes really quickly and see if I can, oh, right here. Trying to, okay. So I don't know. You may not be able to see it, but like right here, you see a jersey with the old throwback of this. And Washington wore this. I think it was back in, was it 2013 when they wore this? Might have been 2012 as well. Could this be making a comeback? Why would this be in their locker room, so to speak? Uh, Big Doug, he's trying to dig up something, man. But he was a good eye. It was a good eye for Big Doug to see this. I would love to see this as a throwback. I think they could do this. Um, Obviously, there's nothing wrong at this point with the logos. Um, I would love to see this again. I really would. So, but talking about this, and I mentioned the well, this is going to be a bit of a trial run to see how people respond to this. I think they're going to respond very well this year to seeing this uniform, these jerseys, the helmet, everything. For the most part, people already love it, and the ones who don't care, and we've had some of those. I call them grumps today because we had some who are like, I don't, I don't really care about this. I don't see the reason why people are getting so excited about this. I just want to see them win. Oh, okay. I think people so want to downplay the look of their team, because let's face it, you want to admit it or not, a team's colors and the way they present themselves, you get attached. You get a certain look that you're attracted to. And, you know, when that look gets changed, it's like, this is not the same. I don't like this. Um, when Washington became the football team, of course they took the stripes out of the off of the helmet and just had numbers on the sides, but still pretty much everything else was Washington Redskins. That was easier to deal with, because it still looked like the Redskins, even though there were some things missing. It was a little too plain. This looks like the Washington Redskins again without the logo. I could deal with this. Now, would I rather them fully go back to the Redskins and have the logo back and everything? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to have that because I've been a fan for, gosh, over 40 years. And you think that that wouldn't thrill me to death? I don't see how anybody who has been, especially someone who has been a fan of this team since they've won Super Bowls years ago, would not be excited over that. I really don't get that at all. Um, I know another comment that was made because I had mentioned, and I don't have it pulled up. I don't think. Let me see real quickly. You have to excuse me. I'm not very rehearsed on this one because, of course, I wanted to really, I wanted to get this out before it was too late because this was such a big story. But I'm trying to find actually, and I kind of made this last night. I am not a graphic designer and I cannot find it now, but I posted it online and I'm going to try to find it. If I don't, then you'll just have to go to my post on social media. It's G Sykes 34 and see if we can find it. Oh, I think I just found it. Yes. Okay. So I kind of, posted this. I posted this a few times, but once that everything was, what was officially announced and out, I kind of did this last night, because there was talk about the spear, right? And so I was like, this was the only thing that I think could have had the finishing touches, right? Now, of course, don't worry about the face mask is not the right color. But I was like, I think if they could have done this, a-okay, because um, that would have I think that would have been pretty cool. And I know a lot of people had kind of talked about maybe they'll do something like this. Um, there's some comments, comment made that NFL would never go for this, and I'm like, why? And they said, well, because it has a weapon, they don't display. They would not like weapons displayed in a logo. And then I went and found the Tampa Bay Buccaneers current logo, which has two swords crossed. I'm like, and they said that doesn't count. I, I think they were just kind of jest. I don't think, it may have been more of a sarcastic thing. Um, but it really got to me because I was kind of like, why would that not count? Like, okay, spear bad, swords good. I would have jumped for joy if they if they had done something like this. I've been like, okay, I can deal with that. Because it's almost a no pun intended poke to Dan Snyder of this is what we really think of your logo. We don't really care for it that much, and I don't. I'll be honest with you. I hate the logo, but I would have liked that. I think that would have been pretty cool. But alas, we didn't get that. We still have. Um, I can't find it now, but um, we still have this, but we do have the stripes, and so it kind of takes your visual. Um, it takes it away from the W as much, and it does overall. It does make it look a little bit more traditional. So I get it. I like it. Um, so overall, what do you guys think? Do you like the throwbacks, which hadn't been that long ago since this team looked like this? I mean, yeah, you're going back maybe 5 years, but this team had basically this setup, and so I love this. To me, I'm looking at this and I'm like Super Bowl. This looks like a team that's going to the Super Bowl. This looks like my Redskins team that played in those Super Bowls. Ertz looks like Clint Didier here with the 86, right? I love the look. I really do. I love it. I'm happy. The I think that the front office, I think that the ownership is moving in the right direction. I still think they need to work on the logo. If you're going to be called Commanders from here on out, it's fine, but I think we could do something with the logo. Um, I think making this the permanent, uh, you know, uniform, the primary permanent uniform, I am 100% on board as long as they don't try to add the Commander's name back to the front. Unless the only way that I would accept that, I think, is if they did it in the font of the curly R that Joe Gibbs wore. Do I have that? Yes, I do. So, now if they did this, in that type of font and they put Commanders on the front, okay, maybe I would be up for that. But I kind of like this clean look where there's nothing on the fronts, no nonsense. This is straight up Washington football. We don't need, because I feel like a lot of people don't care about the name, kind of hate the name anyway. We don't care to see it. Um, Even if we're fully on board with, calling them the Commanders and hoping that they win as the Commanders, I don't have to see the name because I think it makes the jerseys look terrible anyway. So I love this. This is the great look. I cannot wait to see this out on the field. But folks, let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, you know, are you for this? Do you care? Do you not care? Um, and one last thing that I have to say before this video gets extremely long is the fact that let me say this: you're going to have a section of the fans that are going to boycott or whatever. They're going to They're going to not support this team until the logo comes back, until the name comes back. And one thing that I don't like is that for those of us who feel like we don't think that's going to come back, we feel like we can get as close as we possibly can. Maybe the logo does come back. I'm always holding out for hope for that, but I'm also being a realist. And if people accept this enough, then we're probably just going to move on. But um, just because I'm willing to accept that there may not be any reversion back to the old name and the old logo, and that what we have seen today might be as close as we get, and that I'm thrilled with that because it's such a huge upgrade over what we currently have. Does not make me a casual fan. I had that comment, and I just had a comment on that. I'm like, what do you mean by casual fan? It's like I have supported this team since I was 6 years old. How many 6-year-olds do you know of that actually will sit and watch a football game? I did. I was so into watching the Redskins play at 6 years old. I wouldn't play with my toys. I wouldn't do anything else. I would sit with my daddy and I would watch the Redskins play Sunday in, Sunday out. I was hooked from that early of an age. And as a matter of fact, as I grew up, I hated, like, if I couldn't watch a game, it really tore me up. I either had to find the game on radio because they used to play the games on the radio, or, you know, later on as we got into the internet age, if I could find the stream, I would watch it. If I couldn't find it on TV, I did whatever I could. I planned major events around the schedule so I wouldn't miss games. I mean, for crying out loud, I got married back in 2012 and um, planned our honeymoon for us to leave our honeymoon on Monday instead of Sunday. We got married on Saturday. We left for our honeymoon on Monday. I wanted Sunday to be free so I could watch my team play. And as a matter of fact, it was either that cruise or it was the next year we went on another cruise that we were going to be on the cruise ship, but the Redskins were playing the Cowboys. And I had to find a place on the cruise where I could go and watch this game, and I did that. I am a very devout fan, and I've been a very devout fan of this organization for 40 plus years. And I hated losing the name and the identity, the logo, as much as anybody else. Um, and I've never been one of the ones who will eat up everything that the organization threw out. Like when the commander's name came out, the new uniforms and stuff, I was disappointed. I tried to stay positive. There were people who were like, "Oh man, this is fire! I love this," and I'm like, "I hate it. I don't like it." Especially when I saw the white jerseys, I was like, "That looks like the Arizona Cardinals." It was an ugly jersey. The burgundy ones, I was like, "That's okay." At first I was like, "I think I can like it because it's new, it's different," but it wasn't the same. And seeing this today, I'm like, "This is the look means so much to me. It really does. Maybe it doesn't mean that much to you. It means a lot to me. Yes, the name meant a lot to me as well. And as you can hear on the podcast, if you talk to me in person, I'll kind of interchangeably call them Redskins or Commanders. Just, you know, I just do because they'll always be Redskins to me. And I've always maintained and I've always said, if it was offensive, you should have let the Native Americans decide that. Nobody else should have been the mouthpiece for them. But that wasn't how the name got retired. It was other reasons other than really helping the Native Americans. And how much does that really help Native Americans today? Removing the name hasn't helped them one bit. Hasn't helped them one bit. I remember seeing Native Americans saying, "I would, I'm not worried about a team mascot. I would, rather worry about, rather have help with the rampant alcoholism and drug use and poverty that's in our tribes than a team's football name." But a lot of that stuff was always buried because people felt that it was their duty to get rid of something that's offensive, but they never could really understand why it was offensive. They were just told it was. Same thing with the logo. No matter the true history of the logo, people said, "We got to get rid of that too. Can't have anything offensive." You know, my goodness, if they see a feather, it's going to cause people to get triggered. We can't have feathers, and it's ridiculous. And so my stance is I'm not going to sit here and cry that we don't have the Redskins name anymore. By seeing the, you know, by seeing this, that's enough to be like, that's the Redskins right there to me. Sans, like I said, sans the logo. I can look at that and be like, that's the Redskins. I call them Redskins, and I probably will. um, and I'm happy with this. It's a good step in the right direction. Um, but I don't think you call someone a casual fan because they're willing to admit name's probably not going to revert back. And if it does, great. We all love it. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. We're willing to accept what we have now. Just make it to where it honors the past while being able to pass the torch on to the present and the future. And that's what Harrison Company has tried to do. And I commend them for trying to do that. And I think they did the best that they could. I don't think we're done with this at all. I think this is a big step forward, but I don't think we're done. Yeah, I do think that we're going to see these uniforms, this primary uniform as the permanent next year. There's John Kim was talking about today that this is kind of the trial run. It's been kind of spoke about in their inner circles that this likely would be something permanent, considering or depending on the overall response from fans. And like I said today, if you look at social media, fans overwhelmingly were extremely positive and excited about seeing this. Yeah, we ultimately the biggest thing we care about is winning and winning Super Bowls and winning championships and being a championship caliber team. I get that. Just because you're excited about seeing, um, the ownership reaching back to pull something from the past to connect it together with the future, and you may think this is so silly that people are so invested in the uniform and the look that they don't care about winning. That is farthest from the truth. It's not mutually exclusive that you either care about the name and the look and all that stuff or you care about winning. It's got to be one way or the other, can't be both. Who comes up with these rules? I think it's a bunch of grumpy people who just want to argue, honestly. I want to see both. I want to see this team reaching back and that's fine. And they're doing that. And as well, I want to see this team in the Super Bowl. Would love to see this team in the Super Bowl wearing those throwbacks. Folks, probably turned into a very long video, so I apologize. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, give it a share. That said, I will see you in the next one.